How are we doing? How are we, folks? Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. Come on now. Let me hear your hands. Let me hear them hands. Show me how you feel, folks. Show me how you feel. Come on now. You know we're back at it again. You know I couldn't stay away for long, could I? Neither could you, right? So go ahead and give a round of applause for yourselves as well for tonight. Coming to join me again. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate your attention, and I appreciate your time. Don't ever get that mistaken. I appreciate everybody who's tuning into these, who's watching these, whether you're watching it live or on a playback. I appreciate it all. So thank you for tuning in for tonight. Thank you for lending me the energy. I can feel it through the keyboard, man. I can feel it seeping through the screen, man. I can feel the energy coming off from the people. So thank you so much. All right, we're gonna get right into it. Come on, where's my face at? Where is my face? Here it is. There it is. How you doing, folks? It's De La Spurs. I'm your host for tonight, January 23rd, Friday night. I hope you guys are enjoying your Friday night. I know I am. I've been working from home. There's been some inclement weather in the area, so I've been working from home. Haven't been having to stretch myself or anything due to the weather. So I'm doing good. I hope y'all are doing good. Hope y'all are avoiding this nasty weather out here, man. But again, I'm glad you guys are joining in for tonight. Friday, I only want to take about an hour of your time, just talking about some of the topics. So you can see when we getting into the transfer window, just kind of trying to make some sense of that, of course. We'll also be talking about the recent inquiries into Andy Robertson from Liverpool. We'll take a look at him. We're also going to go ahead and preview the matchup against Burnley at Burnley on the weekend. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. We're going to be having a good stream tonight. I don't know if you can hear it, you can feel it, but I got some energy in me, folks. So I hope the energy, the love is spreading to y'all through the computer, through the phone. Of course, before we get into everything, we're going to be doing the logistics. Come on here, folks. You already know what it is. Throw a like on the live stream and subscribe to the channel so you can go ahead and get your download into De La Spurs content. I told you last time, we changing up the time slots a little bit. You're doing 6 o'clock instead of 6:30, trying to get a little bit earlier in for some folks, maybe make it a little bit easier for y'all to come and watch this a little bit earlier in the night. So hopefully we should be seeing a little bit more traffic, a little bit more traction. But you can also get more traffic and more traction if you go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you can see when I post, see when I'm going live. Also get some more info about the live streams, De La Spurs, all that. The more posts, the more likes, the more content I'll be putting out. If y'all want more De La Spurs, I'm going to give it to you. So please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on X as well, /Twitter. All right, follow me on there as well. I post on there. Put my opinions out there. So if you want to see my most opinionated self, you should follow me on X. I'm responding to people. I post stuff, repost articles, things I find interesting on X. I try not to be too much on my phone, but I want to be, enough to engage with people. I do engage with my followers as well. So just go ahead, follow me on there as well. Leave a comment as well, and share the live stream with your family, with your friends, loved ones, co-workers, anybody and everybody. Let them know about this greatness that we have here at De La Spurs tonight, 6 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Let them know. Share the link with them. Give them the live stream link. Or give them the YouTube channel link. However you want to do it. Share an X post. Whatever it is, just go ahead and get it right into, go ahead and share that and let the folks know what we got here going at De La Spurs. Well, I'm just gonna kind of get right into it, man. I don't think we got a whole lot to talk about, especially going into this next game. Um, I think a lot of folks are kind of holding their breath and waiting, seeing what's it going to be like. What are we going to be doing? So that will be the most interesting thing, I think, kind of going into the weekend. But there has been some transfer news, folks. There has been some transfer news. All right. We're still making moves out there. There's still about around the 23rd. So there's still about 7, 8 days left in the transfer window to get business done. And Spurs have not stopped yet. There's more inquiries now coming out about Andrew Robertson, right? Left back at Liverpool. What will that mean for Spurs and our squad lineup headed into this last kind of part of the season, and then as well trying to just make some sense of this transfer strategy. I know some fans have been saying it's been a little bit random. I know some fans have been saying it's been sporadic. We're not getting the players that we need. I tend to lean on the side that we do need more attackers. I think we need some people that can put the ball in the net. We need goal scorers, right? But we need attacking midfielders that like to put themselves in the positions, don't mind putting their laces through the ball to put a shot on net. So I'm more on the side we need some goal scorers. I understand we are squad building, and that is some folks have to kind of realize as well. We got a lot of injuries, so some of the squad building is not necessarily saying we're ready to take the next step. We're just kind of filling in where there's holes, right? We got to fill in all of the holes. You know what? I don't care. I don't care. It's true. We got to fill in the holes, all right? We need to fill in holes that are on the squad. So, whatever. I don't give a fuck what you're saying. We need to fill in the holes in the squad, so I don't necessarily mind that either. But we're going to be getting into it all. So let's go ahead and dive right into where is my banner. Where's my banner? Here we go. Some of the transfer window chaos. All right. Now, for me, right, we're gonna first just kind of start off talking about like just what I've been seeing from fans and everything. From what I've seen on social media and the internet, and again, that is just one facet of the fan base, right? Can't take that all as everybody's sentiment. That's 100% how the fan base thinks, right? But yeah, I just kind of from looking around right now and seeing everybody's reaction. One, I think there's still a lot of people who are frustrated. Still a lot of people who are frustrated with where we are in the transfer window and the activity or lack of activity there is in the areas that are needed. Now, I'm no tactical person. I'm no person that tries to sit here and break down every single player that I see as far as profiles and all this sort of stuff. I just don't have the bandwidth in my mind to do all that. I look at a player, I see what he does. I imagine every player out there on the field is trying to do what they do best, regardless of what they're being instructed to do or what the tactics are on the field, what the other team is doing. They're doing what they're doing best on the field. So when I look at a player, I don't get into all these categories, subcategories. Oh, is he an attacking eight? He's a defensive eight. Oh no, he's a transitional this guy. He's this. He's a defensive this. He's an attacking this. He's a wide this. He's a midfield this. Just if you're in the midfield, what are you doing in the midfield? If you're in the attacking positions, what are you doing in the attacking positions? And if you're defending, how are you defending, right? So for me, kind of like looking at the players that we've bought, right? One, I think there's definitely been an effort to kind of cover the holes again, and try to cover the injuries and where we're lacking. But with a lot of fans, it feels like they were expecting this January window to be a platform for us to step up and move forward. And don't get me wrong, I think that is important, and I would say that does need to be a goal of the club. But I also recognize as well that we are in an injury crisis, and I think what Thomas Frank is looking at is that with players dropping out of the squad, he's going to have to push more, which is going to cause even more players to drop out of the squad. So maybe his idea of this January window is not necessarily trying to buy in surplus, but really buy the necessities. And when I mean necessity, I mean bare bones necessities, right? As much as I would like a winger, and as much as I think we still need to go in for a winger, right? I think trying to make sure that we have enough defenders and have enough midfielders is important, right? Because we do have attackers, we do have outfield players, not a lot, right? We don't have a lot to choose from, but we still do have those options. There are players like Matisse Tell who have fallen out of favor a little bit with the manager. Who may not be getting as much playing time um, as he wants, but that is another example of someone in the squad that we could still use. Like we still have those attacking players there. Granted, they're not good. We need to improve upon them. I agree, but they are there. On the other end, not so much, right? I think first of all, I know the big thing is that as far as our left back and right back covers, we're very weak in those areas, in my opinion. So the fact that we're trying to address those areas, for me, I think it's important because I think it can, as much as I would like to get in surplus now, if we're able to kind of get the squad and everything, get that back line and everything filled out, I think it will kind of help us going into the summer, regardless if we're going with Frank or not. If we can kind of have the structure of the midfield and the back line kind of filled out, it makes it a little bit easier in the summer to just focus on the attacking targets, which I hope is what the plan is, right? If we're not going to do anything in this January window, in the summer window, we're moving players on as well as bringing players in, and that we're kind of going to transition this attacking, all the attacking players out that we don't want or that we don't need, and bringing in the players that we do want, that we do need, right? So all in all, I mean, for me, I'm not too worried, but I think fans, just from what I've seen with fans, they've been freaking out. I think a lot of people, again, on social media and stuff, I've seen a lot of online couch tactical masterclass people breaking down all this stuff, and we're not getting this profile of player. We need this, and this. We need someone who can pass between the lines. We need someone who's good aerially passing balls through the air and all this stuff. And a lot of people, from what the players we've bought, which so far we've gotten Souza, Connor Gallagher, and I'm not sure if we buy anybody else. We sold Brendan Johnson. So those are like the three things mainly in the window of activity we've done so far. And for a lot of fans, that isn't enough. And I agree that's not enough. We need to do more. Definitely need to bring in more players. Definitely need to, again, bring in goal scorers, bring in attackers. As much as I would like to say that we have this quote unquote a good youth core in the attacking positions, I would like to bring in some actual veteran attackers that have a history and that it's known that they could put the ball in the back of the net. There's no guesswork about it. There's no if they can, they will, they won't they. It's we know they could do it. Yes, I'm not saying we need to get a 40 goal a season striker. I know that's probably not going to be available in the January window, right? None of those players are going to be available in the January window. But if you're telling me right now there's not a player that's available that's at least scored like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 goals, 5 to 10 goals already this season, you can't bring in somebody like that to the squad. I don't believe so. I don't believe it. There's definitely somebody out there like that. So, and fans have also kind of, as much as, and I think it's sort of ironic, right? I think at one point there was a sentiment that there's not enough experience in the squad. We have a lot of young players that don't know how to embed themselves into the game, right? They kind of lose themselves a little bit in games, and we've been seeing that. So I think there's been a sentiment of wanting to bring in seasoned characters into the squad. I know there's this buzzword of proven players, but I think there is actual logic into bringing in players that are not necessarily played in the Premier League, but do have enough experience in playing football in high levels of football that there's more hope, belief, and a chance that they'll be able to translate that by playing in a top 6 team in one of the top leagues in the world, right? It's a hard standard. It's a hard wall to get over. I'm not saying there's not players out there that can do it, but it is a pretty high standard when you think about it, right? So you're talking about a player that can come in, be at that level, and then help drag up and bring up the team with them as well. You're talking about a pretty good player, a big name player as well with that. That's going to demand the wages, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, it's been a little bit. It's. I think in Spurs fans' minds, I think it's been a disappointing window. I think it's been very slow. I think there's been a lack of activity from what I've seen from fans. And I think ultimately, even if we were to bring in an attacker at this point, I think they want more. Spurs fans are going to want more. And I tend to agree with that. I think we need to bring in at least 2 attackers or 2 attack-minding players to say that this was like a good January window for it to be fantastic and for us to actually build and say, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what we needed. We probably need to bring in another midfielder, a striker and a winger. Another attacking midfielder, striker, and a winger. I think, boom, you'll be set. And I think depending on the level of those players that we bring in, that ultimately, for me, at least for me, that will kind of be like, all right, we did what we needed to do. We backed Frank. Frank, the ball is in your court now. I know we sold Son and we got rid of some of the goals with Brendan Johnson, but we brought in these players. We went into the January window. We could be bringing in Andrew Robertson. We brought in Conor Gallagher. We got this striker, this winger, another attacking midfielder. If you're not able to do anything with this, then that's on him. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's still more needed and there's still more to come. So I don't think fans should be too disappointed yet, but we have to see it, right? We got to see the inquiries. We got to see the links. We got to see the work being done on the ground. I don't think it's any sort of excuse to let the board go or put your hands up and say everything is okay, right? But I do think that there's going to be more activity. And listen, I think there were some worrying signs. I think there was I forgot the player's name, but Somerville, right, from West Ham. There were some concerns with us buying him or going in for him from West Ham. Again, not the level of attacker that we're needing, not the level of attacker that we wanted. But it later came out with David Ornstein. We weren't in for him. There's been no signs of us putting in any bids for him. So interesting enough. As well as in the Tottenham or in the transfer window, there has been reports that Thomas Frank has been saying that he doesn't want any players to leave anymore. This is kind of, as far as us selling players, this is it. So for those like me who believe that that's probably going to be the best source of us getting income as far as to be able to buy players, is selling players. If you say we're not selling anybody, we're not getting rid of anybody else in the January window. So this, whatever 150 million pound war chest that we've been rumored to have, which is funny enough, it feels like every season, every window, whether it's January or summer, there's some reports coming out. Oh, we're getting another 100 million pound war chest. We're getting this to go do this in the summer window. And then this is what the activity looks like, right? We only bought 2 players and we sold 1. So but it doesn't really seem like that activity is matching to the purse strings we have available. But that is true. That is also what I'm seeing here. But hey, I think fans do have a right to be upset. So I'm not going to sit here and necessarily say that fans should be poo-pooing, criticizing this window, or that I'll poo-poo fans for criticizing this window. But I think ultimately, I think kind of everybody freaking out about the players that we have brought in, and Conor Gallagher. Souza, I get because he's a young player. Honestly, I don't even know if he's going to actually get playing time this season. I think he's probably just going to go on loan. We'll send him back on loan before the end of the January window, and then probably reassess in the summer what his space will be. So I imagine then at that point we'll probably be getting rid of Ben Davies or maybe even Adogi, maybe even both of those players, and kind of moving on from there. I think we should definitely move on from Ben Davies, and yeah, it will again, like I said before, it will kind of free up the space um, to buy more attacking players and kind of focus more on the top end if we kind of get this back end. If we get this back end filled, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's right. If we get the back end filled, That's right. I said it. Back end filled. What? It's immature. That's what it is. Just have to get some water real quick. But let's go ahead and take a look at the latest inquiry that Tottenham have put in, and that is for Andrew Robertson, the left back from Liverpool, right, has been one of the key players, I think, in their back line, one of the key players in their success recently. And Tottenham have been in links with the player. Just give me one sec here while I get the article up. Come on now. I just had to pull up on one of these. Uh-oh. I think I lost the article. But give me one sec while I try to get this pulled up again. I know. Hush up now. Hold on. Hold up. Here we go. So, from David Ornstein, it says here, exclusive Tottenham Hotspur working on a deal to sign Andy Robertson from Liverpool. Tottenham brought forward plan to vie for the 31-year-old left back as a free agent this summer. Not done, but talks between all parties advancing in bid to reach an agreement. I think I saw as well that ultimately, as well with the Andrew Robertson deal, the relationship between the player with Liverpool and Tottenham goes as I think Andrew Robertson wants to do right by Liverpool by leaving them. Ultimately, it's as harsh as it's going to sound. I think he didn't want to go to a rival of Liverpool, so that's why he's probably saying it's a safe bet in Tottenham. He'll still get to play in the Premier League, and he's also not going to any team that's actually going to be challenging Liverpool on any sort of level. Also, what it's highlighting is that this deal is for the summer. This is a summer deal. I think what we're doing is trying to prime the deal for the January window, which is something I've seen before. I've seen teams will go ahead and do a signing, but the player won't join until the summer, or they'll pretty much have like the deal done and then the player actually signs once the summer window starts. And all the groundwork is put in and everything. So as soon as the season ends, and it's more than likely because Liverpool doesn't want to give up the player before the window ends. I'm pretty sure Robertson just featured in their last Champions League game, if I remember correctly. So he's still getting playing time with Liverpool. He may not be a starter, right? He may not be the first name on the team sheet, but he is still putting in time and contributing minutes to the team. So I imagine Liverpool is going to want to hang on to Andrew Robertson till the end of the season. Then next season, they'll move on when they have an opportunity to look for someone, find a like-minded replacement, or at least buy them some time to do that. And then we can move in for the player. But ultimately, this deal is more than likely for the summer. From what I'm looking at here as well, it looks like both the player and the player in Tottenham have made an agreement so far. So it's really just up to the clubs now and figuring out how to get this sorted. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's what that's what it kind of looks like. Just been also kind of looking at some fan reactions from this. People aren't happy. People are not happy with the Andrew Robinson inquiries. People have been saying he's washed. He's not good anymore. He has no pace. He's not good at passing. He's trash. He's this. He's that. I've also seen some um, actual criticisms that I would take in, or at least I do consider as legitimate criticisms that are thought out. One, this definitely seems like it's another reactionary signing, right? As much as we would like to say this is squad building and we're planning to bring someone like Robertson for his leadership qualities, his skill, his technique, and his experience. With Ben Davies going out injured and being out injured for the rest of the season, is this another reactionary signing? We see a player get hurt, oh, we can immediately grab that player, right? And if that's the case, and again, I don't necessarily think this is a bad reaction, right? I don't think this is a bad, right? If Ben Davies gets hurt, you could bring a Andrew Robertson off the bench to replace him. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, right? But it does lead to the fact that it feels like the transfers are reactionary because when everything was going fine and smooth and we were winning, nothing was going on, right? But then now that players are dropping like flies, now we're seeing the activity going. We should have been seeing this activity from the very get-go because we needed to not only replace the players that were injured or players that look like they may be injured, but we should have been building the squad on top of that as well. So I do hear those criticisms of, okay, these signings are reactionary because you weren't doing anything when everything was fine. Even when we were losing games before we won at Borussia Dortmund and we were on this losing streak, we weren't necessarily doing anything. So it's like now that players are dropping out and we're saying, oh, we don't actually have the squad depth in these areas, then you want to go out in the transfer window and buy for those players. We should have been doing that before. We should have been doing that way before just now seeing Ben Davies go out hurt on the field. Just now seeing that Bergvall is going down again this season, right? Again this season. He was already hurt. He's going down again, and then now will be out for the rest of the season. So, listen, it's reactionary in a sense because why are we just now trying to do these approaches and do this activity in the window, especially when there's less than 10 days left? Now we're not in any sort of position to try to negotiate. We're pretty much having to just throw deals down, and teams are going to either say yes or no, right? The player's going to say yes or no. The team's going to say yes or no. We don't have that much time to negotiate anymore. We can't give it 3 or 4 days to kind of see things out, let the room or the temperature cool down. Whatever tactics and negotiations that you know about or that the team likes to use, the timeline in which we have to implement those tactics are getting low. It's running out. So, and it's going to get to a point where we are probably going to have to overpay for players because when you only have 2 or 3 days left in the window, right, the team is going to say you either want our player or not. He wants to go. We want this money. What are you going to do? So the wiggle room that Tottenham may have, right, when we're trying to sign, let's just say an Akliush, for example. If we wanted to sign Akliush, but now all of a sudden Monaco says, hey, the price tag is now 50, 55. When there's only 3 or 4 days left in the window, you don't have that much time to sit there and say, let's walk away from the table. Let's let it cool down. Let the player think about it. Let the player make a little bit of noise. We'll come back in with this bit. No, it's either at that point you're paying the 50 to 55 million or you're not. And then at that point, the player's looking at you like you said you wanted me. You approached me this January window. Here's your opportunity to buy me. Do you want to do it? And Tottenham been saying, well, we did want to do it, but maybe not at this price. But now you don't have a choice. Now you don't really have any options. You got to put your money where your mouth is. And we're not giving ourselves any grace. So there is some criticism with Okay, some of these signings are reactionary. Some of these signings are not, or the activity is reactionary. Let me not say the signings necessarily, but the activity is reactionary. Um, and if that's the case, why can't we react and be proactive on the other end of the football pitch, where we see that we're not scoring goals, or we see that we're missing goal scorers? There's attacking players that are dropping out like flies too. Let's address those areas. Let's get some goal scorers, which is where I tend to be. We need goals, right? And I get Ben Davies gets hurt. We need defensive players. We need a midfield out there. That's part of Frank's structure, right? He likes to he likes to attack in numbers, get the right back and the left back to go down the wings, start crossing in the ball and stuff. So Robertson could tick off all those boxes as well, but we need goal scorers. What we've been lacking is putting the goal in the back of the net enough times to beat teams. All right? Forget about the defense. Forget about the midfield. Forget about all that stuff. We need goal scorers. So we need somebody to come in and put the ball in the back of the net. Andrew Robertson, good player. Don't think he can do that. He can help the ball. He can help put the ball in the back of the net by passing it to the right guy. But he's not going to be the one to put the ball in the back of the net. So again, I think you're going to get an influx of fans. They're probably going to be saying, hey, this guy is not solving any of our problems. It seems like it's reactionary. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to get this sign of player, this profile player. And Andrew Robertson doesn't feel that. So what are we doing? And then I also get, though, on the other end, and let's just pull this up here. Andrew Robertson's stats. I also have up here as well a graph with Andrew Robertson versus just kind of looking at his numbers and everything, right? So let's see here. Here we go. Got the graph up here now. So getting his stats from SofaScore, just looking at his performances for the last 12 months, it's been around the 6 range. Hasn't really gone over beyond into the 7 range. He's been about the 6. So he puts in about an average performance, does some good things, probably messes up a little bit in some areas as well. Player's 31 years old, right? He's a captain of Scotland in the national team. He's made 90 appearances for Scotland. I saw something as well. He's like the only captain that's brought Scotland into 3 different competitions. So he's been the captain. He's been the leader. He's been the head guy for his national team. He's been in multiple competitions as a head guy for this team as a national team. Right, just kind of looking at his last performances. Okay, so I do see for Marseille, he did mostly ride the bench in that game. So maybe I was wrong. He didn't really make that appearance out there. But looking at their game against Burnley, he had a 6.8. They drew. And their win against Barnsley, he had a 6.7. Let's see, he rode the bench against Arsenal and Fulham. In his game against Leeds at the beginning of the year, he had a 6.7. Last year in December when they played Brighton, he got a 6.8. And when they, I believe this is the Champions League, when they played Inter and they beat them 1-0, he had a 6.9, right? So, again, he looks like he's putting about an average performance, right? Average performances, okay? Right? Looking at the actual value of the player, when he was bought at Liverpool, he went for 9 million euros, right? Right now, he's valued on SofaScore at 12.8. He's going to be coming in as a free agent, so he's not going to be that expensive, right? He's probably going to be right about that 5 to 10 million range. So if you kind of look at it, we are getting the face value of the player. It's just kind of whether your preference is if you think he's going to help or not. I think there's some fans that say he's not going to help. I think there are fans that are saying he's a solid option, squad building, leadership, integrity. You need that sort of personality on the bench, in the locker room, on the training pitch. I tend to agree as well. It's similar to Conor Gallagher, which I'm not mad, right? If you want to go to your bench, you see Bergvall and Archie Gray gets hurt, and you can bring on a Conor Gallagher. I'm not mad at that at all. As a matter of fact, I probably prefer that. Hell, I'll probably prefer the reverse where they're starting, right? And then we bring on the kids after these guys have come in and did what they needed to do in the game, right? So I'm not necessarily mad at them or Tottenham or the approach in getting players like this that have some experience, that have skill, have technique, are good players, have played in high level teams elsewhere, right? And have done things of coming into the squad, and you can use them as either starters or they could be the backups, right? And I think in either position of starting or backing up, these are solid squad choices. But again, these are not the players in the areas that you need that would actually change the outcome or some of the results that we've been seeing, i.e., goal scoring. We need goal scorers because if we can put 2 to 3 goals on a team in the first half, it will definitely suit Frank's style to want to sit back in the second half if we can draw a good 2 to 3 goal lead, right? It would suits Frank's style of wanting to go out in these 15-minute bursts and attack, right? If we actually have attackers that can put the ball in the back of the net, that can add some clinicalness to our attack, some actual sharpness and some penetrativeness in our attack, right? It makes those 15-minute spells just even that more dangerous, right? And then the team has to sit, then we can fall back into our shell. We can sit back and defend another 15, 30 minutes and then go again for an attack, right? So that's what we need, right? Andrew Robertson's not going to do that. So it just kind of feels, it just kind of feels similar to Conor Gallagher. It's not what we need right now. It's solid, right? We'll take it. I'll take it, but we need more. We need to do more in the window. That's just kind of the Andrew Robertson thing. I mean, I've kind of been hitting on this point all night. Are Spurs buying the right players? Again, it's about what you want. If fans are wanting some instant impact, some instant change, no. But if you're a fan like me that's been seeing the transfer policy and the level of the squad just continue to drop and drop because the standards of the players that we're bringing in are so low, right? We're bringing in teenagers that we're saying will be good in half a decade, and then we're already 2 to 3 years down the line, and they're still nowhere near that potential. So we're pushing it up another decade, right? Because Matisse Tell, Wilson Odebear, right? They've been here now for about 2 years, right? So we only got another 2.5 years, 3 years before they need to be at their top potential, what most fans have been saying. And right now, they still look pretty shit. So I'm sure fans are going to kick the can down the road again. Oh, give them another 5 years. Oh, give them this manager. We need to play this way. We need to do this, right? So we've been seeing the standards drop, get lower. So if we can bring in some Andrew Robertson, some Conor Gallaghers, right? If we can go in to hopefully by the end of this window, we can get a couple of attacking players that are of that level, that are of an Andrew Robertson and Conor Gallagher, I think that will do wonders for this squad, regardless if we continue with Frank, regardless of the youngsters that we put out on loan or sell, regardless of the youngsters that we bring in. If we can have these solid figures in the squad, that definitely helps with the squad building. It definitely helps with bringing in players because they see there's Andrew Robertson, there's Conor Gallagher, Pedro Porro, Xavi Simons, Paulinho, right? Christian Romero. Players are going to be okay. Maybe they are building a little bit of a squad, right? Maybe there are some better players on there than what they started with. So maybe I am more willing to give it a chance, right? These players work hard. These players are good when they're in form. They're good. The manager's got them playing this way. I can see myself fitting in this position. And also, with all the players that I mentioned, none of those are world beaters, right? None of them are these world-class take all the attention on the field every game they play type of players, right? So if we can get like an all-star and a world-class player, they're still going to come in and play above those players. They're still going to come in and be slated above those players. But golly, if we got a world-class number 10 and we're bringing in Xavi Simons and then have James Madison as our three number 10s or our three attacking midfielders options, golly, I feel way better about that, right? In the left back position, if we have Robertson, Souza, Udogie, and then another top player, that's quality depth in that position. Same thing on the right side. Jet Spence, Poro, bring in another top right back or world class right back. That's solid. That's solid. That's solid depth in that position, right? So I definitely see the squad building and buying these players right as not just the temporary fixes that fans want. And I think this is what's been annoying fans or frustrating fans is that they've been wanting to see the team buy these instant fixes, right? They want to see them buy goal, which I agree. I'm saying we need goal scorers. We need attacking players that can put the ball in the back of the net. So I'm not going to sit here and say, no, we don't. But I think we need to put a little bit of context of just how bad the squad building has been over the years. And it's going to take time, right? Because one thing you can also consider as well, if we bring in these world-class attacking players, but the squad is nowhere near reaching what their achievements are, what they're trying to achieve, right? In 1 to 2 years, that player is going to want to leave, right? Because we can bring in that top world-class talent now, but if he has to play with Wilson Odobert and Matisse Tell, right, he has to wait 4 to 5 years for us to see that those players are crap, want to get rid of them and then bring in some better talent. They're not going to be willing to stay there the 4 to 5 years. They're going to say, I'd rather go to a team that's willing to put me with some good players now. So for some fans who are saying that's who we need right now, you just need to take a step back. You need to kind of hit the brakes a little bit and say, listen, I agree. We need those guys. We need those players. But if you're looking at the reality of it, there's still, this whole squad needs to be built out. This whole squad still needs to be figured out. This whole squad still needs surgery, experimentation, whatever word you want to put. We still need that in this squad. So if we do go into those other areas and we get players of quality and of note that may not make the instant impact or the instant change that you want, that there's still that one, right? If we can build a squad of good players, it'll make it that much easier to bring in those attacking players. Once there's a balance that we've established and that there's depth in those areas, we can focus and key in on those attacking players. And then 2, as well, it uplifts the standards of those squad because we can bring in those top attacking players, right? But then if we have nobody else that can fill in for them, we're gonna do what we did with Mohamed Kudus this year, right? We're gonna play that top player so much because we're gonna be so desperate. We're gonna need him every game. Fans are gonna want to start him every game. The manager's going to start every game. The player may even want to start every game. He's going to run himself into the ground. He's going to start getting injuries, right? But the type of injuries you get from running around so much, these are not contact injuries where you just kind of heal up and you move on. These are muscle injuries that take time, energy, and effort to recover from, right? And once you recover from those, it takes time, energy, effort to get back to the level. And even then, there's still the risk is even higher of the player re-aggravating that injury or blowing out their leg or their hamstring or their ACL just out completely again. So you want to bring in those attacking players, but if they got nobody around them, there's no depth to kind of protect them a little bit. It just makes them that much more vulnerable to injury. And then we're going to be sitting there with star players that are going to be hurt, and we're still going to be relying on the same crap players that we said weren't good enough. And fans are going to be scratching their head because they're going to be, well, why are these players still here? Or we brought in these good players, but they're not playing because they're hurt. Oh, this club is cursed and all this, and we just have bad luck and blah, 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 blah. No, right? Build the squad with the good players. Then you get your attacking quality players, right? You bring in those top players, and that makes it a whole lot easier, one, as far as your squad depth and rotation to rotate out, right? Because everybody is really good or about that level. So it makes it a lot easier to try to figure out your squad and squad depth and rotation as you go throughout the competitions. As well, it also protects those star players, right? Because when they're not playing well and that we may not be able to rely on them because they got to figure some stuff out, we have those other players that we can bring in. It's not that we just have to leave that player out there on the island, is have him figure it out. Literally watch him in real time, try to figure it out on the field. Because then that's when fans are going to turn on the player. Oh, he was never good. I never wanted to sign this player. We know how the divisiveness, and we know how this goes on social media. Fans will completely do a 180 on that player. We don't want him. We don't need him. This, blah, 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 that. So all in all, if you want to ask me, I think we are buying the right players. Andrew Robertson, Conor Gallagher, Paulinho, Xavi Simons. These are the level of players that I do think we need to bring in, that we should be buying. We need more. We need more in other areas, right? And I still don't think the squad is close to being at the level I think it can be at, or the level that I think most fans, if not all fans, want it to be at, to actually compete on all four fronts and be able to win in all four competitions. But it takes steps. It takes time to do that. I think we have as much trouble selling players as we do bringing them in. So I think there's still a little bit of that as well. We're going to have to get rid of players as much as trying to identify and bring in the right players. And if you ask my opinion, to be quite honest, and this will be to kind of round up the topic, in my opinion, it's a lot it's a lot easier to bring in your attacking players to come in than it is to bring in the defensive players, that midfield, find the balance and the depth and quality of the players as well. It's a lot harder to do that in the midfield and in the defensive end than it is to do in the attacking end, right? Because the attacking players, all you really want them to do is put the ball in the back of the net, right? You want them to score goals. So all you really have to do is be able to pay the money for the player at the time that's putting the ball in the back of the net the most. That's not hard. It's not rocket science. Yes, you can have a situation like Liverpool where you buy a whole bunch of attacking players and the balance is a little bit off, but they're only going to be down for so long. We know that. We know next season they're going to be coming in, guns blazing. All right, they've figured themselves out in that time. They're going to have things figured out, whether they keep Arne Slot or not. I think he'll have things figured out a little bit more too. So, in my opinion, it's way easier to buy for the attacking side. On the defensive end, in the midfield end, again, and I'm no tactical master coach, master manager type of guy, but I know that it's hard to find a balance of defenders who are good at playing the ball, want to move up with the ball, but are also good at defending, while also getting a good balance of the midfield, where you have enough energy, enough skill / technique in the midfield, as well as discipline and structure, right? I think those things take time to develop and build and mold and balance. I think when you get when you buy a new winger and a striker, right, that's just a matter of time, right? That's just a matter of time before they start scoring goals or they need to get a balance or anything like that. I think it's way harder for a defender and trying to get that balance in the midfield. Okay, how do we defend? How do we attack? How do we move the ball up this way? How do we retreat and make sure we have our areas covered? How do we defend on set pieces? How do we do this? How do we do that? It's a lot harder to do those things, in my opinion. So, that just to kind of round off that topic, I think fans just need to pump the brakes a little bit. All right. I understand we want instant change. We want an instant reaction. There's so many things at this club that are going wrong that you just want to get something right now, but it takes time for things to be considered to get them right? We got to see what these players impact, especially on the offensive end, because we could buy that player that everybody loves. But if they're not firing, say we bring in an attacking player that everybody wants. We bring in an Akliush. But if he has 0 goal contributions for the rest of this season, what are you going to say? Are you going to say he's the wrong player? Are you going to say we should have never bought him? Spurs should have never been in for him. He was another kid that we should have never trusted. Like, what would you say then? So just pump the brakes, give it some time. We gotta give this squad and this team moment to flesh it out. That's why for years, I know I've been on that boat. I've had this sentiment, and there's been other fans as well. There's been other YouTubers, content creators, people on social media, other Tottenham fans have been saying this There needs to be an actual building period. It's going to be tough. It's going to be rough. It's going to hurt because results are not going to be what we want them to be. But there actually needs to be a building period for this squad. All right. We've been kind of falling down. We fell into this competition and we won, but we see what platform we've had after we won that competition. It's virtually no platform because the squad, as far as its quality, recruitment, and everything, has been going downhill. So we got to give it time for us to try to figure things out, build a platform, and then go from there. So fans, just pump the brakes, right? I get frustrated too, as much as everybody, but once I take a breath and realize, okay, what are we doing and why are we doing it? And what can we get done? What can we accomplish, right? In the short term, yes, we can buy a goal scorer. We can get someone to get goals. And that's what I still think we need. Short term, I still think we need people in the January window. I'm not saying the window is done by any sense, but we still need more players. But ultimately, the whole squad, this whole team, the whole roster needs surgery. So if we're operating on other parts, it's not necessarily a negative, right? Right? If we see that, if you're like in a car wreck, right? And your arm's injured, and you know that you need treatment on your arm, but you know you need treatment on your legs. You're not going to sit there and tell the doctor, well, no, I need treatment on my arm, forget my legs. The doctor's going to say, hey, you need treatment on both, buddy. You need treatment all around your body, to be quite honest. So just let us do our thing. We're going to get to your arm. Don't worry. We're going to get to your arm. We're going to try to save it. Now, in this case, this is Dr. Tottenham. This is Dr. Tottenham. So I'm sure the patient is sitting there like, oh, geez, what is this dude going to do to me? What is this dude going to... But no, in my scenario, in my example, right? You gotta let the doctor kind of do his own thing. He's gonna get to the arm. You gotta let him fix the leg a little bit first, right? Right. And we see that the leg is the area that we need the most. You just had a fresh injury. You just had a fresh injury, a fresh wound on your leg. So let the doctor address that first, and then he's gonna get to your arm, right? So that's how I see it. Lastly, we are going to round out tonight with the preview: Burnley versus Tottenham Hotspur. All right, this is going to be a big game as far as the fans that are so focused, so keyed in on the Thomas Frank in versus Thomas Frank out debate. I'm honestly so gone beyond that. I really don't care. Like, if we get rid of him, we get rid of him. Fine. I don't care. If we keep him, we keep him. Fine. I don't care. I'm worried about what the board and what the actual club is doing to support Thomas Frank, the players that are already here, the staff that's already here, and the vision and the goal that they set, that they told everybody. Because remember, they said they liked this Europa League trophy. This felt great. We want to go and do this in the Premier League next. We want to do this in the Champions League next. So my focus is on that and what the board is doing to get us there, not necessarily on all the divisiveness. Oh, but attacking football versus Frank's defensive football, and are the players this good versus this good, and Son and Brennan Johnson versus Kolo Muani and Xavi Simons this season, and what's this and what's that, and but we said this with this manager and that manager. I'm so done with that. I'm so beyond those arguments now. It's divisive, and it's just kind of childlike. It's point scoring. I'm done with it. So I'm not necessarily going to sit here and I'm not going to sit here and talk about all these topics. In an entertainment sense, yes, will Thomas Frank keep his job or not? But for me, like, I personally don't have any more dog in the fight. I don't have any energy or strength to try to put up those arguments of trying to compare Frank to previous managers and where his stats are and this and that and how he makes me feel. And I'm done with that. I'm focused on the board. I'm focused on what is the board going to do with the vision and the goal that they presented to us, they presented to themselves, they presented to the players, the manager, everybody there. And that is to compete in the Champions League and in the Premier League. Right now, we're only really competing in the Champions League, if you want to say that. We're not competing in the Premier League. So what are we going to be doing as a board? That's what I'm focused on. But to say all that, right, people are going to be looking into this as Another test for Thomas Frank in versus Thomas Frank out. We're playing a Burnley team here, which I'm gonna actually let's go ahead and get Burnley's form pulled up. So I'm pulling up Burnley's form, right? And I went over this in the last live stream, but just kind of to go over this again. First of all, in the last 5 games, they have no wins, right? 3 draws, 2 losses, right? They're in 14th. They have 14th points. 14 points. They're in 19th place, so they're in the relegation zone, right? If they get a win, they'll be tied for West Ham at 17 points. In their last 5 games, again, they don't have a win. They do have a win in the FA Cup, though, against Millwall, 5-1. But other than that, the last game they drew against Liverpool. Other than that, they drew against Man United, lost to Brighton, lost to Newcastle. So you could say they're riding on a little bit of momentum, right? They played 2 big teams, got some draws from them, right? They played Liverpool away, and they played Man United at home. Were able to get a draw in both games, right? They won at Millwall, scored 5. So this team might be feeling themselves a little bit. They might be getting into a rhythm or trying to establish themselves into a rhythm. They're going to be playing at home. Listen, there's an expression here. I know I said this before on the channel, but the expression from the National Football League here in America that play games every Sunday. It's any given Sunday. Any given Sunday, a team can beat you. So I don't want to sit here and say this is a guaranteed win. It should be a guaranteed win. It's going to be a tough game, but a team in our position with our stature, right? Again, with where our board says our goals are and where we should be, this should be a win. But of course, I know Tottenham. I know Dr. Tottenham, right? I've been visiting Dr. Tottenham for years, right? Dr. Tottenham has been my local neighborhood doctor since 2012, right? So I'm aware of Dr. Tottenham, right? I'm aware of just how good his work can be when you're in need of it. So I'm perfectly aware, and as well with Frank and the level, and I guess not the level, but the tactics we've seen from Frank, right? I wouldn't be surprised if we sit there, we go to Burnley, and we have to sit back and we have to absorb Burnley bopping the ball around us and Burnley attacking us. That's gonna be a spell in the game. So if you're expecting kind of the same performance from Borussia Dortmund into this game where we're dominating majority of the game, I'm not sure if that's going to be the same case against Burnley. I feel like these players and the manager treat the Premier League versus the Champions League different. So I feel like in the Premier League, Thomas Frank is going to have his foot off the gas a little bit more on the brakes and a little bit more defensive and trying to protect the back line than it is going all out and everything, as well as with the players and everything we would have available. I'm not sure if he would necessarily play the same way, like putting jet spins on the left wing, bringing Porro into the 6 and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see. Ultimately, right, just to give my prediction, I want Tottenham to get another win here. So I'm going to predict Burnley has shown that they're able to get some goals against some pretty big teams. And Man United and Liverpool, they are big teams, and also their defense hasn't been like the best. So I do think they can get a goal against us, but I think we can get 2. So I'm going to say a 2-1 win against Burnley away from home. Actually, no, we're gonna say 2-1 win. We're gonna stick with the boys. We're gonna stick with the Lily Whites, boys. Come on. So 2-1 win. 2-1 win against Burnley away from home. All right. Depending on who we have available, and who we can field out there, will also kind of affect that as well. But 2-1 win for the boys. That's ultimately what I think. But another test for Frank. Will he go out the same way? I don't believe so. I think he should, but I don't believe he will. But we'll see. But yes, that's pretty much it for tonight's show, folks. Pretty much it for tonight's show. I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. You did well. I had fun. Didn't really see a lot of viewers come in, but that's okay. Let's see here. We're going to do the last minute logistics here. Go ahead and like this live stream for me. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow me on X. You know what it is, folks. We're going to be coming to you live on Monday. Depending on what happens on the weekend, I may do a live stream over the weekend, but I usually don't. Usually wait till Monday to do it so I can get everything set up, give myself some time to think about things, rewatch the game if I get an opportunity to, all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, I'll be back again Monday, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, De La Spurs Live. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live. Follow me on X so you can see my post when I'm going live. You'll also post the live stream for that day on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So even if you're not following if you're not looking at the notification bell or you're not following the channels, if you do see my post just out there yonder, I do post when the link is up, so you can find that post, share it with yourself, share it with others, save it for yourself so you know where to go back to, where you can redirect back to my channel. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you all for being a part of the show, getting in with me tonight. I hope you guys are having a good Friday night. Try to be safe out there if you're going out there to party. There's some inclement weather over here on my end, so I'm not going out and doing anything. I'm hunkered down. Got the hot chocolate, got the noodles ready and everything. So we're going to be hunkered down here. Hope y'all do have a good weekend, though. I hope you enjoy the game tomorrow. Let me know how you feel about the game tomorrow in the comments. Go ahead, throw a comment. Who do you think's going to win? Your score predictions, all that. But other than that, thank you all again for joining De La Spurs Live. I'll see you again on Monday. Until then, peace. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.